Good evening, people. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to Lead Judges TV. As ever, I'm your host, Dan Potts, and there's nothing really else to talk about other than a little something called the North London Derby tomorrow night, which we're all excited for. Some of us are nervous, some of us are confident, and some of us just want it over and done with. Let's introduce our panel. We've obviously with Lead Judges tonight. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm all good. All good.
Good stuff. James is back, man. James AFTV. James, how you doing, bro?
Hanging in there.
Yeah, man. I'm all good, man. I'm all good. I think we were talking off air about the nerves and the butterflies are settling like every single North London derby, so I'm sure you're not alone. We got Henry Wright from Henry Wright TV, our Spurs fan. How are you, H?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Looking forward to tomorrow's game. Can't wait, to be honest.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a good one. It's going to be exciting. And, of course, we couldn't do a stream without tapping Tobes. Tobes, how you doing, bro?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. Nervous, but confident.
Okay, we'll get into that. Fuad is going to be joining us. He's a little bit late from work, so he's going to be running a little bit late, but he will be with us. So let's get straight into it, man. James, I'm going to start with you. You're a tactics man, or so I hear. So let's talk about how you think Arsenal can take 3 points tomorrow against this Tottenham side. It's not going to be easy, but we've seen and know how they play. We know what Antonio Conte is all about. They're one of the teams that have scored the most goals since 2022, and he has no doubt improved them. So this is going to be a very different Tottenham Hotspur to the one that we saw at the Emirates under Nuno. But how do we take 3 points in your opinions tomorrow night, James?
Oh, what a question. I listened to Arteta's press conference today, and just the kind of bits and bobs he said since the Leeds game. And it slightly worries me because he's talking about being really excited about the occasion, and these opportunities don't come around very often, and we're going to do what we've always been doing. But what scares me is if we do what we've been doing this season and try and go punch for punch, I think Spurs are more clinical than us. I think for us to score 2 goals, we need 10 chances. I think they need about 3. Hell, they need 1 chance to score 2 goals. They'll make something out of nothing because Kane and Son are so clinical. I think, if I'm honest, I want Arsenal to be sensible. I want them to go into this game, feel out the first 10, 20 minutes, be compact, be organised. That doesn't mean boot the ball up the pitch and get back in your shape. Play out the back, do your thing, stick to your principles, but don't concede too much space to them because that is where they'll kill you. But it doesn't sound like that's what Arteta's going to do. It sounds like he's going to put faith in his boys to try and outscore them and go punch for punch, a bit like he did at the Bridge. But yeah, if that's what he goes with, I'm a bit worried. But keep it tight, 20 minutes, frustrate them, let the crowd settle down a little bit because there will be a big atmosphere, and then see where we stand, and hopefully spaces start to open up for us. But I will be worried if we go like full throttle in the first 10 minutes, like it's kind of sounding like we might. Oh, is me? You can't hear Dan?
No, I can't hear you.
Sorry, unprofessional. I was on mute. Judges, let's come to you, man. Listen, I think this game is massively important for who gets the first goal. Do you agree?
Yeah, very much so. Because of what it is. Listen, I'll be I'll be a lot more nervous than I was if it weren't for that 4-point buffer. A couple of weeks ago, I was looking at it, and I'll be honest, I was thinking that if we win it, we probably could even go on the same points as them, let alone in front of them, And I think that if Spurs would have, say, even been a couple of points behind, knowing that they'd win the game, that would put them into above us, was a big thing. And I think from that point of view, and then we're playing into their hands because we've got to attack them. And I'll say this now, I don't mind saying it. Spurs are one of the best counter-attacking teams in the league, if not the best. That's why they've got results against Manchester City. That's why they've got results against Liverpool. But we don't have to go chasing for them. And I've been a bit annoyed if we do. In the last couple of games, we've played them at White Hart Lane. We've been caught on the counter-attack, and they've punished us because that's what they're good at doing. So I'll be disappointed if we do that. Play our football. Play our good football, but don't expose ourselves at the back. That's all I'll say. Just keep the back four Tom made a great point on the show yesterday. Like, if Ben White's fit, and I keep hearing things that Ben White's not fit. Like, I see him training last week, so I think that he will be fit. It could be we play him at right back and play a more solid 4, so that we don't go forward as much. And so, and what I would say is, I think the first 20-25 minutes is going to be really fit. I'm talking to a couple of my Spurs mates today. Oh, the atmosphere is going to be unbelievable. Like, we're going to be right up for it. Of course they are, and what you've got to do is frustrate them, try and frustrate them, like, and get them a little bit agitated. And the way you do that is just defend well, and then the more the game goes on at 0-0 or 1-0 or 1-1, if we get in front, I then think, say if we're 1-0 up with 20 minutes to go, Tottenham are going to have to come piling forward, giving it everything, leaving themselves exposed. So we've got to be very, very tactical how we go about the game. Like, do it in stages, like first 20 minutes, see where we are after 20, then 25, and go from there. That's how I would look at it. Like, and even if there's 10 minutes to go and it's 0-0 or we're drawing or whatever, make Spurs make decisions, make them make decisions that they don't necessarily want to do. And so I would go down that route. Like, this is the first time. I'm not saying confident about going to Tottenham, because I never am. It's always a very, very difficult game. But I feel a little bit more because we've got a little bit of a safety net. It's not a great safety net, but it is a little safety net, those little points in the bag, like, and that's what I think I'm going to be honest. Arsenal really, and that's why I feel it, because I felt 2 weeks ago, Dan, that we were never going to have that. And we shouldn't have had it, really. We shouldn't, Arsenal have done really well and got the four results, which no one really expected. But the big bonus of that is that they lost at home to Brighton and then didn't beat Brentford. The game against Spurs, forget about that. Whether you think that's points dropped or a point gained, though he was always thinking that they was going to drop points against Liverpool, but not against Brighton and certainly not against Brentford. And I have to say, I don't know if you remember that game against Brighton. When we lost at Brighton, they were playing Aston Villa at 5:30 and won it 4-0. It was all over for me then. I remember coming, I don't know where we was going, somewhere, and I said, I didn't have I had the pub shouting out that they'd scored another goal, and I said, it's over. It's done. We ain't going to get there. It's transpired that we've hit a bit of form as far as results are concerned, and they had that little blip, and we've now got to take advantage of that. And going into Spurs, that's what we can do.
Yeah, 100%, man. I was with you, man. After those 3 defeats, I was like, it's done, it's dusted. I didn't expect Brighton or Brentford results to play our way, and obviously they did. Henry, let's come to you, man, because against Liverpool, I thought you were really impressive, man. I've got to say it. I thought defensively you were sound. I fancied you to take something just for the pure fact that I know that you play that way against Man City. You obviously play that way, as Lee said, one of the best counter-attacking teams in the league. Do you think that you're going to go similar against Arsenal? I know that we're nothing like Liverpool in terms of our attacking quality and our possession quality, but do you feel that there is no need to change too much, or do you think it'll be a completely different game?
Well, it surprises me that if Arteta's going to try and go toe-to-toe, I would imagine he'd try and stink it out more. Try and, like Lee said and James said, frustrate the crowd. It's going to be a very energetic crowd in there. From they're already saying in the South Stand, get in there early doors, get to your seats, and cheer the boys on. However, if you're going to dominate the ball, that just makes me think, as a counter-attacking team, that just benefits us. Kane dropping deep, Son making runs, Kulu making runs. I feel like that puts us in a stronger position. However, you flip it the other side. If we have majority of the ball, and you're stinking it out, I don't necessarily think you're going to keep us out for the full 90 minutes. I don't think you're strong enough to keep us out for the full 90 minutes with that front three. The amount of goals we've scored in 2022 with, like Kane, Son, Kulu, Højbjerg, and Bentancur putting in shifts as well. But this game, let's be honest, you go into the better form, and we're going to have some confidence getting a point at Anfield. But we all know this game, form goes out the window. When you get down to this game, it's what happens on the pitch. You both mentioned first goal importance. I think the most important part of this game is first 15 minutes, because obviously we're both going to want to start well. You boys are going to want to get into your shape. settle down, calm the nerves. But we're going to want to get that early goal. If we do get that early goal, I think we will, get another one, and then we'll just sit back and then play the game into our hands. With Conte, our game management at times has improved, especially in 2022. But then again, we've always taken a lot of pepperins. Like you said, who would have thought we would have lost to Brentford, drawn to Brentford and Brighton. Sorry, lost to Brentford, drawn to Brentford, lost to Brighton. There we go, and then but get a point at Liverpool. So many twists and turns in his top 4 race. It's probably been one of the most entertaining top 4 races for years. It's so many changes, and it's still a long way to go. But like I said, if we're in a counter-attacking thing and Arteta's going to go ball possession, that just favours us, I think.
Fair play, man. Let's come to Topes. Topes, for weeks you've been saying, Dan Potts, remember the 12th of May. For weeks you've been saying you're going to win this game. For weeks you're saying I'm not having anything else. Then you come on tonight and say you're nervous, bro. What are you nervous about? This is going to be a 3 points, you've told me. You're on mute, bro.
Yeah, it's going to be 3 points, but it's a North London derby. Of course, there's going to be nerves. Just because I'm confident doesn't mean I can't. There's not going to be nerves. It's a North London derby, mate. There's so much on this game. Like the magnitude of this game alone, there's going to be nerves. It's like last week. Last week, I said to Henry and Fuad that we're going to get a point at Anfield. It didn't make it any less nervous when the match was actually taking place. But my chest is still out, man. Spurs are going to win this game. Spurs are going to win this game 2-1. I don't know what style we're going to adopt throughout the game. I don't know how we're going to win it, but we're going to win it. We're going to win it. Yeah. And yeah, I'm sorry. You can't make a joke out of me backing my team at home in the North London derby. It's not going to happen, especially in a derby where we've actually been quite consistent at home for the past couple of years. Like how many victories have Arsenal had at our ground in the last decade? What, once?
2014 is the last one. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Rosicky.
Rosicky. Yeah.
Once in what, like 10, 11 years. So listen, I have every reason to believe that my team are going to get the job done. And we got our manager, we got Kane, we got Son. Listen, we're coming to get 3 points, man, and we're coming to at least do what we do best, which is put the pressure on after we win that game.
So that's a great point he makes here, because I've always said it over the last few North London derbies that that the home advantage is key, and it always goes that way. But the old Spurs fans, when we go to the Emirates, they're always going, "Oh, we win this 3-1, 2-0, 3-0, whatever." Like I think it's a little bit of kidology, because I think that home advantage is a big key. Listen, I'll be very, very confident if Arsenal were home in this game. I'll be honest, you know what I mean, because of that home advantage. It is a key. You're going to go there tomorrow like Spurs have never had this before, where you're going to have 60,000 and only about 3,000 or 4,000 Arsenal fans. You know what I mean? Like over the years, they've been at White Hart Lane, and it's been 35,000, and made it. The atmosphere has been unbelievable with 35,000. So there's nothing more. There's nothing better than a North London derby, as Henry says. I've been to them, and spoken to players even when they're doing the warm up. There's more Spurs fans in the ground when it's Arsenal. So to be playing in front of 60,000 of the swines, you know what I mean? I'll say that, it's going to be the atmosphere is going to be electric for them, and that's where we've got to sit it down. And I do think that because we've had the Emirates out, look at our record at the Emirates against Tottenham. And I think that is because of the big crowd, the big situation that you've got now. Tottenham have got that now. So it's going to be very, very difficult to get there and get a result because of that home advantage.
Yeah, massively so, man. I have to agree. It is massive in terms of where we play in the game. James, let's come to you, man, because I want to move on. Before we start going into team news and who's going to do what and who's the danger men, listen, I like to think we're all articulate enough and intelligent enough to know who the danger men are in both sides. But how important is this for both teams? Because Champions League is massive for Arsenal. Champions League is massive for Tottenham. But what does it mean if one gets it and the other doesn't, in terms of like an exciting future, exciting summer? Like, how massive is this game in terms of, let's start with Arsenal?
I don't know. I actually don't know the answer. I've heard that question thrown around a lot, actually. who's it bigger for? I'm inclined to say Spurs, but I don't really know why. Probably because we've kind of spent money anyway. But Arsenal have been out of the top four for a good 5-6 years now, and in that time, Spurs got to the final. I kind of feel like with Conte, they'll kind of be an animal anyway next year. Whereas I think Arsenal need it for the cash injection, that extra belief in Arteta, and for it to kick on the project to kick on another level or two. But otherwise, it's all the obvious things. Yeah, you get into the Champions League, it's the prestige, it's the attracting the players you want. I mean, I think everywhere I'm reading the Jesus and Tielemans links, good players, by the way, they would make us better. But suppose where you kind of look, it will get done if Arsenal seal Champions League football. So you go. I mean, and you wonder what the caliber below that is if we're not playing in Europe's elite competition next year. For Tottenham, I imagine it's probably a similar thing. If they want to back Conte the way he wants to be backed, they'll probably feel they need Champions League football. But why do I have the feeling that if you've got Conte, you're going to give him what he wants anyway? Because how often does Antonio Conte? It's interesting you say that. I just think let's just say Tottenham don't get Champions League football, finish fifth or whatever, Europa. You still got Antonio Conte.
We have.
Just give him what he wants. Surely,
that's exactly what we want. But you look at the only times we've really gone really deep in the transfer market is when we either got a Champions League cash injection or we sold Gareth Bale. Whereas Arsenal, you spent 140 odd million this summer, 100 million before that. You've signed players like Aubameyang, Lacazette, Pepe, recent years, Partey, Ben White. The time we did actually go over that over 100 million when we got Lo Celso, Ndombele, players like that was, like I said, for that Champions League money. And even at the times when we have got that cash injection, the recruitment hasn't always been right. Now, I think getting Champions League football, I think, is a hell of a lot more important for Tottenham because at the end of the day, it pains me to say, you're still Arsenal. You've still got some pull. Whereas unless we can offer our players Champions League football, the chances of us signing a lot higher caliber player is obviously a lot less. That's the beauty of teams like Man United, Chelsea, and Arsenal. If they're not necessarily in the top four, you're still going to attract big players every single season. I've got no doubt Lautaro Martinez, Dybala links will start creeping in the closer you get to top four. Whereas of us, the recruitment in the last couple of years when we've not been in the Champions League has been diabolical.
See, Henry, you say that, man. I want to bring Leon on this point because it was something me and Lee were talking about, man. I'd like to hear Tobe's opinion on this as well. Daniel Levy, right? Spurs have got to make this work for me, right? They've got to make this work now because you've tried everything else. You've been there with managers. You've been there with Premier League proven managers that have done well in the Premier League. You went with Pochettino. It didn't work. You went with Mourinho, a winner. Didn't work. Now you've gone with Conte. He's an elite winner that's currently winning stuff. Yeah, Mourinho, people are saying, is washed up. I don't know what way you look at that. For me, this has to work for you now. You have to back this guy. Now, Daniel Levy, for me, has to make this work because if Tottenham don't make it work with Conte, I really don't know when it is that you are going to make it work. A lot of people slag off Daniel Levy. A lot of people do. And I do think there's some problems upstairs with Spurs. Don't really understand why they didn't back Pochettino, in my opinion. I think they should have stuck with him. I think he's one of the best managers they've had in a long time. But it didn't work out that way. And now you've gone for a proper elite proven winner. So it has to work now. Why is Daniel Levy getting a lot of stick, in your opinion, Henry?
Because whenever we have something good going, he never goes through with backing a manager. Look under Jose Mourinho, right? We wanted Ruben Diaz and Bruno Fernandes, and we got Giovanni Lo Celso and Joe Rodon. Under Pochettino, we had the best 11 in the Premier League at the time, in my opinion. Chelsea had a better squad. That FA Cup final, they brought on. Toby will tell you, what was it, Matic and Hazard?
Costa and Hazard.
Yeah, and who did we bring off the bench?
We brought on Kyle Walker. I can't remember who the other.
But the point I'm making is we had that 11 where we had like Toby Yan, Walker Rose, Musa Dembele, Ericsson, Dele Alli, Kane, Son. I know that was when Dele Alli was very good. That was our best 11, but we didn't add to it. I know people will say, yeah, you had the stadium. But at the end of the day, when you've got when you're in the Champions League final and then the next season, we need to build on it. We never do. We always, whenever it comes down to us in a transfer market, It's always Tottenham are pressing or pushing or talking or making talks, but we never get the high caliber player. We always settle for just below or below that. Whereas Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool, City, and Arsenal go and get the job done. Like, I've said this and I'll say this, but I'll say this again. Since Harry Kane has been at that football club, we haven't brought through any. You could probably argue Romero now, but we haven't brought through many world-class players. At point, we brought through Heung-min Son, but at the time he wasn't world-class. We've developed in something else. But how comes all the other teams can do it? How comes Chelsea, Liverpool, City, Arsenal can all do it?
We'll wait. We'll wait and see if. We'll wait and see if Romero's world class. Let's just hold that just for 1 sec, man, because I wouldn't say he's world class. He's a good defender, but let's just chill.
He's more than good. He's quality.
Tobes, he's quality, but I wouldn't say he's world class bracket yet. Tobes, let's come to you before I bring Lee in, because I know Lee's got an opinion on this. Daniel Levy on your ownership, man. Where do you stand on that, bro?
I think Daniel Levy, ownership wise, has done a lot of good for Spurs. I think he has. I think he's done a lot of good for Tottenham. Whether people want to admit it or not, he's done a lot of good for Spurs. I think when you look at the position we've been able to get to without having the name that other clubs have had in the last 20 years, without having the funding that the other clubs have had in the 20 years, that's down to good strategic moves from the likes of him and a few others behind the scenes in terms of the growth of our club. But the reason why I don't like Daniel Levy, and to be honest, I want him gone right now. Same way with Henry is that he's under his ownership, Spurs are risk averse. Yeah, Spurs are risk averse. We never take any risk. And in the last 5 years, when he's tried to take a risk, he's taken a risk on the wrong things. Pochettino was screaming for years on the need to invest in this squad, to reinvigorate the team, to sign new players. And what does he do when Poch has a spiral in form? He sacks Pochettino and hires Jose Mourinho, as if that's going to fix things. Instead of you doing the thing that you've been putting off for years and years and years now. How many summers do we come out of it where we say, "Raw, Spurs need 5-6 players. First, Spurs need 5 or 6 players." We've been saying that for the last 4 or 5 years. Yeah, back when we were really good, back when we were really, really good under Pochettino, all we kept saying is all Spurs need is 2 or 3 top players and we can really win something big here. And we never got that with Daniel Levy. We never got it. Yeah. The season when we finished second behind Chelsea, the season when Conte won the league, that summer we said, wow, we didn't expect the title challenge, but Spurs have done magnificently well here, even though we fought it towards the end of the season. Add 2 or 3 top players. Strengthen depth in attack, strengthen depth in the midfield, strengthen depth in the defense. Just 3 players, and who knows what could happen? We could actually go for the title again. We could win a cup or something like that. And what happened? We brought in one player who went straight into the team in Wanyama. We brought in a dud in Sissoko, who was in a team that got relegated, and he was one of their worst players.
We could have got Gini Wijnaldum
because he had 2 good games at the Euros. Oh yeah, you go sign him instead of signing the guy who actually slapped double figures in the Premier League in Wijnaldum. So this is my issue with Levy. I appreciate all they've done for Spurs, but they've taken us to a point where they can't take us any further. Yes, they've been ambitious with Jose. Yes, they've been ambitious with Conte, but they don't have the football acumen. They don't have the capacity to know when we need to buy players, when we need to keep players, when we need to sell players. They're not asked about these things. All they care about is the bottom line and the numbers. As long as the numbers are fine, then we're good. Which is why we're in a position now where they've expected Antonio Conte to come in and get top 4 of a team that by all accounts are not good enough to get top 4, man for man.
Judges, you're chomping at the bit to come in, man.
Laughable, absolutely laughable. Like that. I mean, it is right. All the years that I've been following football, right, when Tottenham have never got to a Champions League final, right? They have now under who? They've never ever in my lifetime challenged for a title. They have now under who?
Yeah, but when I was
watching Tottenham Hotspur, right, they had a decent team for a couple of years in the FA Cup. when Glenn Hoddle was playing over. Other than that, I have never seen them come above Arsenal or challenge Arsenal. Under Levy's tenure, they've not only challenged Arsenal, they've got better than Arsenal. They've got a ground now that is unbelievable, right? They've also had a manager that's took them to the top four, which they never ever looked likely getting. Before Levy took over at Tottenham, he was fighting relegation, right? And all of a sudden now, he's not good enough. And I just think at the end of the day, Spurs.
He's reached his sell-by date.
You're never ever challenged for the title, and now you're saying he's not good enough because we're not challenging for the title. You've never challenged for the title. You've never challenged. Listen, you've never challenged for the league. One time you've gone for the league title. One time, and under Levy. In all the years before that, up until 1961, you've never challenged for a title. But under Levy, you have. Under Levy, you've got to a challenge. Under Levy, you've got Conte. Everybody goes to me, world-class manager Conte, right? Who got him? Who got him to the club? Who got Mourinho to the club? Let's be honest. 10 years ago, right? Mourinho and Conte wouldn't even ever look at Tottenham, and now they've managed Tottenham. Pochettino took Tottenham from nowhere, right, to a team that was unbeaten at home all season. All season, never lost a home game. Like Tottenham Hotspur, never lost a home game all season. Never heard of before. Under Levy and his regime.
No, under Pochettino, you had it right the first time. Under Pochettino, what did Daniel Levy have to do with that season? What did he do? What did he do?
He got to a Champions League final.
So Lee, I'm gonna correct you on. I'm gonna correct you on a couple points. Yeah, as I started off my point saying, Daniel Levy has done a lot of good things at Spurs. Yeah, nobody is saying that I don't think he's the worst.
You expect Spurs to win the league in the Champions League? Then is that what you're saying? So what's he done there? He's done more than what you could ever do.
My point.
He's done more for Tottenham than he could ever do.
My problem with Daniel, no, he hasn't though. There you go. There you go. He said he's done more for Tottenham than he could ever do. He hasn't. That's categorically not true. Because if he had done, in the moments where we needed him to do something, Spurs might have won something. Nobody is saying that Daniel Levy needs to go because Spurs haven't won the league. No, nobody's saying that. We don't spend as much as the league leaders. We don't have a divine right to win the league. What we are saying is at key moments, not for the first time, not for the second time, not for the third time, not for the fourth time, not for the fifth time, at key moments in different stages of his tenure where the managers have just needed a little bit more bravery, a little bit more risk for reward, he's not done it. Because he's too risk averse. Harry Redknapp in 2011, 2012, Spurs were third in the league. We were third in the league. We were looking up at the top two. January window comes. We need reinvestment into our team. What happens? He brings in Louis Saha and Ryan Nelson.
You've never had it. Why? You've never had it.
Had what?
All the years I've supported Arsenal, I've been there a long while. Tottenham Hotspur have never challenged for a title. So what gives you to think you're turning around and going, he's done this and that? You've never ever done it. As a football club, you've never done it. He's done it.
You're fixated on this title. I'm giving you different examples. Champions League, the Champions League run that you said, we got to the Champions League final under Levy. You're forgetting that was a season where we signed 0 players. That was a season when we had
Champions League title. When was the last time you got to
under another Champions League final because of Pochettino? We got to a Champions League final
in Europe
we got to a Champions League final because of Pochettino. We signed no player that season. Our squad was on its knees. We had injuries galore. We had to play a double pivot of Wanyama and Sissoko in a Champions League semi-final. Our squad was decimated. And even when he had the opportunity to buy a player in January, he didn't do it. Not to mention we lost out on
before Levy came, you weren't even in Europe. So now you're criticising him because he's got you to a Champions.
No,
you know what I mean.
The issue we've got is, when we get to a certain level, whether
he's gone.
Can you believe it?
He never back.
God, you're back,
Well,
Henry. You're back, Henry.
maybe that's
I'll
because
say
the level you're punching above what your expectations should be. That's what I'm saying.
I think what your frustration is.
No,
I
we
think
don't
what your
have-
frustration is, Tobbs. I think what your frustration is you feel like there needs to be that extra bit because there's that lack of ambition to just go that one further. Am I right in saying that? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And what I'm saying to support that, what I'm saying is that Daniel Levy, these aren't ambitions of just us. These are club ambitions. These are things that he said. He wants this, he wants that, he wants Tottenham to be this massive team. When we were moving into this new stadium, he said there was going to be a change. Yeah. What I'm saying is that in these moments where Spurs have the capacity to do something monumental, the backing has been lacking, bro. It's been lacking.
That's it. There's valid points on both sides of the argument, because you can look at it and say, okay, we've never been in the Champions League and we've never been in a title race. But whenever we get to a certain point where we go, we're on something really good here, we never add the finished article. Whereas other chairmans, I'm not saying that we've got Abramovich, Liverpool, or City's resources, but when they can see something's building and the puzzle's starting to come together, it never happens. But then you've got to look at outside of the top four and outside of Europe, the trophy side of it. We were winning trophies in the 90s, like you said, when we were nearly getting relegated. We've won a League Cup in 21 years. We've got the highest season ticket on par with Arsenal now in the league, the highest paid chairman in Europe. But we're not getting, the fans will look at it and say, okay, we'll get to the Champions League, but we're never going to go far in it. That one run, but we never get over the line. The thing that baffles me the most is Arteta won an FA Cup, right? But whenever it gets down to us in a game like that, we can never get it over the line. That's the frustrating thing from a Tottenham fan. And they'll go, but Levy hasn't given him the resources. You know, every time we get down to Champions League final, FA Cup semi-final, the League Cup,
Champions League final, Tottenham Hotspur in a Champions League final.
I know, it's madness when you look at it.
It's madness. It's incredible. Like in my lifetime, if you'd have said to me, Tottenham Hotspur will get to the Champions League final, I laughed at you. I'd laughed at you. You've done it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and to be honest, I'm going to get this right. I'm not having a dig at Spurs when I say this. Done it in a lot less time than Arsenal done it, by the way. But that's not good enough for Tottenham fans.
The thing
Unbelievable.
about being owners
James.
in football or chief executives or whatever, you can never let up. It's got to be relentless because that's what fans demand. Fans pay the same amount every year and they go every year home and away and everything. You can't let up. I'll give you a really good example from the Arsenal perspective. Once we supposedly paid off most of our debts or whatever at the Emirates, we signed Mesut Ozil. We finished fourth to win the FA Cup. Year after, we buy Alexis Sanchez, get a couple other players in, Danny Welbeck, I think, as well. Finish third, win the FA Cup again. What did we do the summer after? By the way, we ended, I think that was the 2015, so first half of 2015. We were one of the form teams. We were playing brilliantly. We were kind of, throughout the calendar year, keeping up with Chelsea. Who do we add? Petr Cech. And then what happens the year after? The levels drop. And that is, you can say, well done, Cronkies. You added Mesut Ozil. You gave us Alexis Sanchez. You went to, two of the biggest clubs in Europe and took two of their best players, albeit, okay, they probably weren't wanted there anymore. And we went up a few levels, probably thinking Arsenal don't need too much. And then it kind of falls away. Ownership in football is so difficult. You've got to keep going. You've got to keep going. You've got to keep investing. You've got to keep adding to it, because unless it's the manager literally saying, I don't want or need anymore, I'm good. Otherwise, you've got to keep reinvesting, because like life, football comes at you fast. Like, everyone else is improving, everyone else is adding. And in those years where Pochettino and Spurs were getting better and better, the 2 calendar years combined where they got the most points, I think there was back-to-back FA Cup semi-finals. Then they get to the Champions League final. For everything that Levy did, Poch needed more. Poch needed more help.
James, I agree with what you're saying there, but the fact of the matter is, right, and people criticise Tottenham for this and beat a stick at Tottenham for this, is that when they played, apart from that, Leicester was a freak. At the end of the day, we're in an era now where you're playing up against unfair rules. If I'll be honest, Chelsea have been running at a loss for so many years now but have been able to win trophy after trophy after trophy. Now, going back into my day and all that, like Tottenham were a much bigger club than Chelsea. Much bigger club. You had players like Jason Cundy leaving Chelsea to go to Spurs to better his career. You know what I mean? Like, let's get it right. The fact of the matter is now you've got Manchester City, like, who have never won anything. And funny, the last time I seen them in an FA Cup final was against Spurs. That's how long ago it was. Tottenham beat them, right? Now, winning trophy after trophy after trophy because they've got money. Now, looking at Manchester City now, we're 20 points behind them. Tottenham the same, 20 whatever points behind them. They've gone and got Haaland in and all that. Levy ain't going to be able to do that, and nor is Kroenke. So you're up against it, whatever way you look at it, like, you know, and that's. But you know, so you're saying to like Levy, you're saying to Kroenke, I'll tell you what, we'll spend another 200 million. Spend 200 million this summer. Where's it going to get you? You ain't going to get.
We're not asking for 200 million, Lee. That's where you're wrong. We're not asking for 200 million. I'm not asking for 200 million. I'm just asking for year-on-year improvement. I'm just asking for you not to stand still. I'm just asking for you to not be so reactive.
Where is the level? You know, you're battling for top four in the last 5 seasons. You've battled for top four. You've battled for top four in the last 5 seasons, and you're not happy with that. When you've been relegated and relegation through that, that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, you can't.
Basically, you're saying, but by your logically, you're basically saying we can't evolve as a club. Expectations have changed. Expectations have changed. The Spurs they have. And I said that he's taken us to a point. He's taken us to a point, doing well as best as he could, and now his best is not good enough. That's what I've said. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? The way he's running, the way they run the club now, it's not.
So how far do you want to go then? Where does Tottenham's expectations go then? For a club for 60 years have been a mid-table team.
For starters,
where are the expectations?
I'll tell you where. For starters, we don't want to wait until our players are practically dead on their feet before they get replaced. We don't want our plan A targets to constantly be tossed aside for plan B targets, and then we're in the same position 12 months time trying to sign plan A again. These are two things we don't want. These are things that they could fix. I could be here all day if I listed the list of plan A players that we could have got that could have improved our team, but we go for plan B and it fucks us in the long run. Well, long run. Yeah, it messes us up. Last season, like Henry said, with the centre back with Jose, I didn't like Jose. I didn't want Jose at our club, but we all knew we needed a top centre back. What happens? They don't get a top centre back in. They bring in an average centre back from the Championship. The average centre back has barely played a game for Spurs this season and barely played games for Spurs last season. And where has it got us? We then had to buy another £48 million centre back in the summer, and now we have to buy another centre back next summer. Him doing his job better doesn't just benefit us as a fan; it benefits him as well because we get better. The product that you are managing, that you're a custodian of. Do you not want to see that product grow? Do you not want to see that?
I've seen something with John Lacey, Paul Miller.
We stagnated under Daniel Levy.
Oh, you know what I mean? If like, you know, I'll tell you what, like, from where I'm sitting, like, you know, listen, Spurs have never been a problem all my life, and they are now. And that's since since Daniel Levy came to the club. That's how I see it.
I think you make great points, Lee, because personally I do think he's done a great job, because I never saw growing up Tottenham being a threat. And then I got to my teens, and when he was taken over, all of a sudden, there they were alongside us, and they've stayed there. They haven't gone away. So I'm kind of with Lee on this one. However, I demand the best of Arsenal, and I don't think there's anything wrong with Tobes and Henry demanding more. But I just think there needs to be, like you say, Lee, a little bit of respect of where he's got you to currently. We need to move on because obviously we're going to be talking about this for a long time.
Before we move on, have we not given him respect?
No, you have. You've said there are a lot of Tottenham fans, I'll be honest, that turn
there
around
are some that won't
and
give him that respect. I will
turn around and say Daniel Levy's holding us back. That's what a lot of Tottenham fans say.
I've heard that a lot. Yeah,
he is right now. He is
holding you back from what? Holding you back from what? That's my question. What holding you back from what?
Improving. Holding us back from improving as a side, getting back into the
top from four. Being bottom of the league to being bottom of the league into the top four in the Champions League and challenging for a title. That's not improving.
Okay, cool. All right, fine. The Cronkies are doing a great job. Arsenal are spending.
No,
loads.
they're not. They're
No,
not.
they are. They are. The Cronkies
But-
are doing a great job. You lot are spending loads. If you finish fourth this season, that's down to the Cronkies, not Arteta, not the players. They're doing a great job.
21
Right.
years we was in the Champions League for. I
Right.
expect us to get there. Like, you know what I mean? We've got a little bit more. We've won
No, it
titles
doesn't matter.
before. Like,
Doesn't
you know what
matter.
I
The
mean? We've
Cronkies
got
are
to
doing a
get
great
back
job,
to that.
Lee. Doesn't matter, Lee. The Cronkies are doing a great job. If Arsenal get top four, the Cronkies gave you 150 million.
Listen, when we get into a
They're doing great
relegation
job.
battle, then
They're
I'll
doing a
have a
great
go at
job.
you. Like, you know what I mean?
They're
We've never
doing
been in a
great
relegation
job.
battle. Like, you
Cronkies
know
are
what I
doing a
mean?
great
Like,
job.
Daniel Levy, I tell you what, masterclass. I tell you what, like this is where the arrogance of Tottenham fans are going.
It's
Right?
not
If it wasn't for
arrogance.
Daniel
It's not
no,
arrogance.
listen to me. If it wasn't for Daniel Levy bringing in Harry Redknapp, Tottenham Hotspur would have got relegated that season.
You will never get
Down on
relegated.
Daniel
Yeah,
Levy.
props to
Listen,
Daniel.
Daniel Levy's done a lot
I
of
like
good
Daniel
things.
Levy. That was
He's
back
done
when I
a lot
liked
of good
Daniel
things.
Levy.
I'm not
Leave the
denying.
Geordies alone. That's all I'm saying. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Let's move this on, man. Let's move this on because we're not getting anywhere and we're disagreeing, and I'm gonna have to agree to disagree on this one. James, let's come with.
You lot are wrong.
James, let's come to this. Let's come to you, man. Listen, where do you see the future of Arsenal? Where do you see the future of Tottenham in this one? And who do you think has a brighter future? Because we've got a manager in Mikel Arteta that we're looking at in terms of a process and a project. And we're seeing youth, we're seeing some improvement, we're seeing some progress, but some are thinking it's taking long. And I've been one of those to say that I've not been 100% convinced. If we get into the Champions League, I see a project, I see the process progressing. But until that happens, I'm going to remain a little bit reserved. Tottenham have got an elite coach. Tottenham have got some good players. So where do you see this one long term, bro? I'll come to Toby in a minute because he can get ruined in a minute. It's fine. Go on, James.
Well, where do I? I mean, oh my god, it's football. This.
In your
this
opinion,
sport-
James, in your opinion.
This sport is so difficult. But the thing I'd say, and I'm sorry, all the Gooners watching this, I'm sorry, but they do have Antonio Conte, and I'll always feel like they're 2 or 3, not even world class, 2 or 3 really good players from being a serious problem because they got Conte. I do though, and I know this frustrates Spurs fans. I do also think they're kind of 1 or 2 more bumps in the road for him going, F this, I'm off, because PSG have called or Real Madrid. I kind of think the ceiling as well as the floor, the ceiling's really high for them and the floor could be very low. If Conte doesn't get what he wants. With Arsenal, I do think Arsenal, and I've maintained this for a while, I think we are steadily progressing in the right direction. I do think we are absolutely, wherever it is we want to end up, I think we're going there. I think we're getting there. But are we getting there quickly enough? Because while we're trying to do what we're doing, City are spending 50 million on Haaland. Tottenham are hiring Conte. Chelsea will go again. Of course they'll go again. United will go again. Liverpool are Liverpool and have Klopp. I was hoping Liverpool, Klopp and Guardiola's contracts would run out in the next couple of years, but they've both signed on. So that's going to be fun for everyone. So you asked me about the futures. Arsenal, I think, have a really bright future. I think Arteta is developing. I like what he's done. I like what he's done mainly in the last 5 months. I see a potentially blossoming good manager there. I really like the young players. I think you add a striker, you add some more creativity. I think we can do something. But they've got Conte, and for the here and now, you give him 3 good players this summer, they become a real problem. If you ask me who's got a better long-term future, I don't know. I think ours is slightly more deliberate. I think ours has been a bit of a plan and has been they hired Arteta and they plan to back him and they wanted to give him the rebuild and they're giving him his players and I can see it. I can see what we're doing. But I don't think they have to do a lot. That's what worries me. I don't think they have to do a lot. Kane's there. Kane, Son, ready. Kulusevski, boom, front 3. Okay, Lloris still playing at a level they're happy with. Romero, Dyers can do a job in the back 3. So give him another centre-back. I don't know. People aren't happy with me in the comment section because I'm giving them a bit too much credit, but I do worry about them. I do genuinely worry about them. But as I said, I think the wheels can unravel very quickly. So you asked me about a better future. I don't know, but I will for the Arsenal fans out there. I do think, as things stand, obviously tomorrow will say a lot. I think throughout the season, if you look at the way both teams have played, I think Arsenal edge it in terms of deserving top 4, but again, can all change very quickly, can't it?
Yeah, it can change quickly, and I know they're giving you a stick in the chat, but I actually think you're talking facts, mate. Because I said as soon as Antonio Conte went there, oh dear, that's an elite manager. That's the guy that I believe can take the best out of some bad players. He did it at Chelsea, to be fair, with some of the bad players he had there. I never saw Victor Moses and Alonso being as good as they were. And to be fair, since he's gone, what's actually happened to the pair of them? Not much. I never thought that Ben Davis would be scoring goals and playing well in a back three. I never thought that Matt Doherty and Emerson Royale would be scoring goals this season. So actually what Conte's done is definitely developed the team. I also believe that they are only a few players away from having a good 11. I think Arsenal have got a good 11. I actually do. But I don't think Tottenham have got a great 11. I think they've got some fantastic players. And they've probably got one or two kind of players in that level of bracket in comparison to Arsenal's first 11 in terms of Kane, Son, etc. But actually, when you look at what Conte can do at Tottenham, it can be quite scary next season if he's backed. And there's a big if. There's two things with this. Is he going to get the summer transfer funds? And is he going to be happy to stay there if he doesn't? That's the big feature for me. So that's why I'd stick with Arsenal, because like you, James, I do feel, although I haven't been 100% convinced, so it seems weird me saying this, I do feel at least we have a plan. Whether or not that plan is going to be able to be implemented, we'll soon find out. I think with Tottenham, it's a little bit of a, wow, we haven't really got anything, but we cannot say no to Conte now. This is like a desperation. Let's just bring this guy in because we're in trouble. Nuno's not taking us anywhere. And now it's looking quite bright for them. Henry, I want to get your opinion on that, on who you think, take away your Tottenham and Arsenal kind of side of things. If you're neutral, who would you have more faith in for a brighter future? Arsenal under Arteta or Spurs under Conte, mate?
If I'm looking at squads, I think Arsenal have a very bright future in the long run. When you look at your team, you've got a lot of young players still developing. There's a lot of potential in that squad. If I look at Tottenham, and I think Kane's 29 in July, Son's 29, Lloris is 35, and we've brought in Mourinho, and that didn't really go to plan. It's got like Conte. He's not going to stick around if he's not backed. He's not the sort of guy to go, right, okay, Mr. Levy, I'm happy with this. He'll walk into another job. James mentioned it earlier. PSG job could be available. If other things don't go as planned with other jobs, Nagelsmann's on the ropes a bit at Bayern Munich. Could he go there? They didn't do very well in Europe. For me, the way I feel it's gone in the last couple of years, I feel like if it doesn't work with Conte, what other high caliber manager can Levy bring in? So it's now or never. Son and Kane are in their peak.
Could I jump in for a sec? I've never really, even though everything I just said about Conte maybe jumping ship if he doesn't get what he wants and stuff, I don't believe this now or never thing. Do I believe the next manager after Conte is going to be at his level? No. But I'm not convinced that a Graham Potter, another top young manager, doesn't come in and put his own identity on Spurs and they don't go again. I think this thing is a little bit overblown, this kind of, if it doesn't work for Conte, Tottenham are finished. I don't know.
I'm not necessarily saying we're finished. I'm saying we've bringing in elite managers and the crop of players we have got that are entering their peak of years. Like I say, Kane and Son, the best duo in the Premier League. The connection they've got, they're both firing on all cylinders at the moment. We just need to add quality. Now, if we can add quality in the short run, like we've all said, a few players, a centre back, get some decent wing backs for once, and then maybe another forward player. You're cooking with gas under Conte. However, if it doesn't go to plan, and he's already come out in multiple press conferences and said he needs 6, 7, 8 players. Is that going to happen in one window? Who knows? We're going to need a massive overrun, and we just turn out players and bring new ones in. But I'm looking at longer term. I feel like Arsenal have a brighter future. Yes, people will say that Tottenham could bring more money in with a stadium. We've got Guns N' Roses concerts. You've got Lady Gaga. You've got the NFL deal. But you just got better younger players than we do. Don't get me wrong, we've got Kulu and Romero, but your current squad, what have you got, the youngest team in the Premier League? I know Arteta has built the youngest team in the Premier League, but there's a lot of potential in that team. If you had an actual leader, I'm not talking about bringing in, like having a Granit Xhaka, I'm talking an actual leader in that team, you can go places. It's just unfortunate that Man City and Liverpool are in the same league,
Interesting. Judges, what's your thoughts?
I think both. I'm going to say this now. I think both teams have got bright futures at this moment in time for where they are and whatever. They're going, and it's. I don't think you can really compare Arsenal and Spurs because they're different projects, completely different projects. Tottenham have gone for the world-class manager, and that Arsenal have gone for a manager that they can try and
True, it's different. Both are different.
build
Yeah.
and go from there. I'm going to be really honest now. I fear for. I agree with James in it. I fear if Tottenham were not to get top four, so like from their point of view, not get top four. I think that Conte will go, right, and I think then, and if they get someone like that, Potter at Brighton, I think then I would worry more about him than Conte. And I know they might find that silly, but I think there'd be more of a project going and all that. Like I think with Conte, I'm
More sustainability, like.
Yeah, I just think with Conte, he's like, and correct me if I'm wrong. Would you, if I had a lot of money, like I wouldn't put a lot of money on Conte being around next season, like, you know what I mean, or the year after. I don't know if the Spurs guys agree with me on that or not. Like, I'm not 100%. It's a little bit. I'm not so sure, like, you know. So, but I still think that Tottenham at this moment in time are challenging with. I think I don't really want to big them up too much, but they've had a shocking start to the season with the appointment of Nuno. They've turned that around by getting in Conte, and they're still challenging with 3 games left for a top 4 place. So you've got to give them credit for that. I'll give them credit for that. Like, you know what I mean? It's been they're turn around and say it's not been a great season, but they're still in for what could be still a successful season for them. Because if you're saying to us it's successful for Arsenal to get into the top 4, then it's got to be successful for Spurs getting in the top 4, like, you know. So who will it damage more and all that? I'm not so sure if. From Arsenal's point of view, I look at it 2 ways. Yes, it's great to get to the Champions League. If it don't, we can develop more players in the Europa League like we have done in the past. Tottenham have done that themselves. Let's face it, with the Europa League. If it weren't for the Europa League, Harry Kane wouldn't be where he is now, because that's where he started scoring his goals from, and that's when was it Salgado? Was it Salgado wasn't doing the business, and Harry Kane was scoring in the Europa League, and then the rest is history. So, you can miss out on a player here and there through that. So I don't think it's this being all of getting into the top 4. Manchester United got second last season. They're nowhere near it this season. So because you're getting it one year, don't mean to say you're going to be guaranteed it the next year. Or if you're not in it this year, don't mean that. I do think we've got all Arsenal and Spurs. We've got a big problem coming up on the rails, i.e. that team from the northeast in Newcastle. I think that can be a problem for us, because when people turn around and go, oh, that ain't going to be a problem, that is the same sort of animal as Manchester City, right? Same sort of animal.
UEFA have us covered with that 5th place.
Well, like, you know what I mean? Listen, they've not got Manchester City covered. They've never covered them, like, do you know what I mean? 340 grand a week on a centre forward of 21 years of age. When I look in their stadium, I see empty seats. I see Chelsea buying players for £97 million, 300 grand a week, empty seats. I don't see empty seats at Tottenham. I don't see empty seats at Arsenal. You know what I mean? Like, the money side of the game will come in, and it does come in. Look, in my lifetime, I can tell you this now: Chelsea don't won nothing until Abramovich come in, and Manchester City won nothing, relegated until what's happened now. So money does help. And you've got to spend it wisely. But ultimately, them 2 teams were never going to get anything in our lifetime. Now they're serial winners because of money, and Newcastle will be the same. So we've got to be aware of that. So I think at the end of the day that both teams, I think, are on track at this moment in time. If Arsenal were to get top 4, fantastic. It's, you know what I mean? Like, I think we're probably a year above what we want to be. Tottenham, I think. Don't sack a manager halfway through the season and bring in Nuno and want to be, we're happy with Conference League or Europa League. There is an ambition at the club. Whether you think it's there or not, there is, because otherwise they wouldn't have got in Mourinho and things like that. They went with a manager, and this is where I go back to about Graham Potter. They went in with a manager from Southampton that no one really ever thought, and look what he done with them. And I think that Graham Potter could do something like that with Spurs, and that's my little bit of a worry. I think with Spurs, which is great, they're now like not in a thing where I think Arsenal, even when people say we lack ambition, no, we don't lack ambition. We're prepared to go with what's going on there, because we're thinking like long term. I think Tottenham, because they've got Conte, because they've got Mourinho, they want it now. And those sort of managers tell you it's now or never. But I don't necessarily believe that's true.
Fair enough. Guys, there's 1,450 of you watching live. Please smash a like on the video if you can do, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Tobes, let me bring this one in before we come back to tomorrow night's game. I'll bring this one to you. Evening, guys. Wicked stream as usual, but Tobes and Henry, if Spurs were to miss out on top 4, do you think there's a possibility that Harry Kane might call it a day and consider his options next season to get
He's
trophies?
got no options.
There's always the after what happened last summer, there's always the risk that he could go. But the good thing that works in our favor is that the main team that were pushing for Harry Kane no longer want Harry Kane.
Exactly.
Man City have signed Erling Haaland. So if you're looking at Harry Kane now, you're thinking to yourself, what are the other options that I have? Like when you look at the teams who can afford him, Man United can afford him, but do you really want to go to Man United? When Antonio Conte, you got another chance to work with Antonio Conte this season. You're going to be 29 years old. Where are you more likely to win something in the short term? And I'm not saying this to say that Spurs are winners, but I'm saying this to say that Man United are a mess. They're a car crash. And whilst they have the history, whilst they have the funding, whilst they will no doubt probably be back on top of Spurs in the next couple of years if they get it right, they have to do a lot of things to get it right. And right now,
can I ask you a question quickly? Quickly, if I ask you a question, if he was to, I agree totally with what you're saying. I don't think he'd go. But if he was to go with Man United, would your opinion change of Harry Kane?
As in, would I hate him, or what do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, because I think you're right what you're saying. I think if you went to Man United, you're not going there to win the title. You're not going there. I think Tottenham have got.
Yeah, if he went there right now, I'd be disappointed for sure. Like, yeah. I get the name. Listen, Man United.
I get him going to Man City. I get that. But I'm with you on that. Man United, that's why I don't think he'll leave Spurs.
Yeah, I don't think the name is big enough. No, I think you're right, Tobbs. I don't think the name is even big enough at the moment. They are a mess. Tottenham are in a better position than United, 100%.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a car crash. Like this isn't Harry Kane's market now. Last year was his market. Now, since then, Dusan Vlahovic has moved around. Lukaku's moved around. Haaland's moved around. The only other club, he's not going to go to Chelsea, let's be honest. Daniel Levy would flat refuse. Yeah, and that, but he would flat refuse to sell that because there'd be riots. Man United, with what's going on there, Ten Hag, you're probably looking at another decade before they win a league title with the state of Man City and Liverpool. So Harry Kane's got to be knocking on the door for Conte and saying, "Look, we've got to be backed. We need better players." Because I think it'd mean a hell of a lot more to Harry Kane if he was successful at Tottenham, rather than buying into a Man United project and sitting there waiting for things to happen.
100%.
He's been at this club since he was 9 or 10 years old. So how good would it be if he won a Europa League or the unthinkable, or Champions League, or a few FA Cups?
My thing with this is, as I said, I think he would back himself to break the trophy drought with Conte, provided Spurs get the additional backing and assurances that he needs, more so than United. United, let's be real, Man United are due to enter into a period of serious transition. I mean, they've been in transition for a couple of years, but I mean serious transition. They got a lot of players who are out of contract at the end of the season. They got a new manager coming in. They're spiraling down currently in the table as well. So it's going to be a period of patience required for Man United. And does Harry Kane have that patience, having missed out on trophies all the years at Spurs? It's like, which one would you rather prefer? Would you rather to wait a little bit more at Spurs and see if you can get the backing with a better manager who is capable of winning things? Or would you rather jump ship and basically jump back on a new project on the premise that they could potentially win something in a couple of years' time? It doesn't really make sense to me to leave United right now.
I think he'll be at Spurs now. I
think he will.
He was only going to leave if it was for that rare guarantee. And that's what City were last year. You go to City, you're going to score 30 goals, you're going to win the league and a load of trophies. That was the only way. Even then, I'm going to do the really annoying I told you so thing, but I was honestly one of the few last summer when it was all happening saying, I bet he won't move. And he'll stay at Spurs and he'll captain his way to retirement. And the really frustrating thing about Harry Kane is he's one of those players that you're not looking at him thinking, well, when he loses his pace, But when he loses, you know, he won't. He'll be at the top of his game for another 5-6
He
years.
proves people wrong every single year.
Yeah,
Like they'll say,
Well, he's
"You can't do
avoided a
this."
big injury
He will
this
do
year,
that.
hasn't he? That's the. I think. Am I right in thinking this is his first, maybe second?
Second, yeah.
Right. Where he's kind of gone a full, you know. And listen, you don't wish anything on anyone, but I mean that's been a big plus for Tottenham. So yeah, I just think the ship has sailed for the big move.
What about Liverpool? Do you think Liverpool would go in for him?
Just don't think
I don't think they would.
Klopp would do it.
I can see Daniel Levy offering him a new contract.
He's perfect for them.
Another year extension on it, extra money, and with the backing that Antonio Conte is going to be here in the future. I don't think Liverpool, with their front three, I don't necessarily. You're looking at probably over 100 million at the moment.
I think if he goes anywhere, he'll be abroad. I think he'll be abroad. If he goes anywhere,
the only team
I think
I could potentially see him going to, and that this is a big call, would be someone in Germany, like Bayern Munich, with the uncertainty of Lewandowski.
They can't afford. I don't think they can afford Harry Kane. I don't think they can afford Harry Kane. That's the thing with Bayern.
He won't go Real Madrid. The likelihood is they're going to get Mbappe. And Benzema's on fire. Barcelona, I don't think he would. I don't think he's playing Italy. France,
Real Madrid are the kind of
PSG with Poch. PSG with Poch.
Yeah,
he's probably going this summer, and Mbappe. In my opinion, I think Mbappe will end up staying at PSG this summer. Yeah, I think his market is unfortunately saturated. So even if you want to go now, I don't think he's got many options.
I think you're right. I think he's staying.
Yeah,
let's move this on. James, let's come to a kind of a close. James, I want to start with you. 2 questions. What's going to happen tomorrow night? What's the score going to be? I need to know how confident you are, man. Come on, hit me.
You've asked the worst Arsenal fan. I'm a big ball of stress. Do you know what occurred to me halfway through the stream? And actually, just a quick one for the Tottenham fans.
Go on.
The 3 home games you lost, Brighton, Wolves, and Southampton. I know there have been more, but they're the 3 I remember. Am I right in thinking those 3 teams, they came and played, didn't they? Like, they took the game to Tottenham.
Southampton played. Southampton. So wait, you said Brighton, Wolves, and Southampton.
Took the game to us, yeah.
Yeah. So Wolves came to play, but then they sort of sat back and just soaked up pressure after they.
Lloris did his best to help Wolves, though, didn't he? Jesus,
yeah, exactly. We threw the game to them, and then from then on, it was just a case of them just picking us off on the counter. So, but Southampton played us off the park, like from start to finish, and Brighton. I think they had a good shape. They played better stuff than us, but I wouldn't say like they bossed us.
I just think somewhere in that, and I think it might be the way Wolves sort of played the game. There's kind of this middle between we're not taking the game to Spurs, but we will try to keep the ball when we can. We will deploy a press, but still be quite compact, if that makes any sense at all. And when we kind of feel the momentum shifting, we just retreat in our shape. When we won at the Bridge a couple of weeks ago, Saka was playing. It was really interesting listening to Arteta. Him and Xhaka were kind of discussing a lot, talking a lot in the first couple of minutes, lots of hand signals. And essentially, Arteta had something like 2 or 3 game plans that was dependent on how those first few minutes went. I think what we'll find is Arsenal essentially seeing how Tottenham start the game. We'll probably have Saka as a right wing back and keep it quite tight and condensed. And then if we feel like we're having a bit of joy, maybe Tottenham, maybe the nerves are getting to them, whatever, we'll kind of revert back to our 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. So with that in mind, if we can get through the first 20 minutes, I'll confidently back my team for a 1-1. But even then, like, listen, I would take a point now. I think this is going to be tough. And it's the first game in a while. There's been real confidence on both sides of the fan base, which makes for a great game, makes for a great derby. But I'm nervous about this one. I really am. And I think a point is a very good point for Arsenal. Give yourself the job of 1 win in the final 2. And that is really not a bad position to be in. Listen, I'm not saying that's easy, but that is not a bad position to be in. Just don't lose. Just don't lose. And I do think Arsenal will ultimately try to frustrate Spurs.
I do get what you're saying in terms of don't lose. I totally get that, of course. I want to go and win this game, man. I think we should go out to win it. And I know some people might think that's the wrong thing. Yeah, some people might think that's the wrong way to look at it. Just take your point, be happy, and beat either Newcastle or Everton. But
But
listen,
Dan,
it's
can't you
there.
see it now? Can't listen. I pray this
Go
doesn't
on, man.
happen.
Say it. Just say it. Go on.
They win the game. I don't want to say the name. Win the game 2-1, and we're all sitting here going, why did we go gung ho those first 10 minutes? Why were we so naive? Why did we know they love the counter attack? You know what I mean? We'll be looking
And
back
I
at it
get that,
as,
James. And
oh my
my
You
god.
kind
got to
of
pick
back.
your moments, too, right?
But that's what I'm
What's that,
saying. So
sorry?
my kind of back to that would be: listen, that's fine. Don't go out all full throttle, but don't just come sit back and just say, just don't concede, keep a draw. Because I feel
There's something
like
in
we
the
could
middle.
lose the game. I think we need something in the middle, is what I'm getting at. And I would like to go for the win. I don't want to come there and just say, look, just sit back and do not lose this game, because I think that could be dangerous against them. I really do. So
No, yeah,
I'd like to see this go. Go on, mate.
it's all right. If you park the bus for 90 minutes, they'll score. That's
That's my
why
point.
the Stamford Bridge performance is the blueprint. There's something. I know we conceded 2 goals and the defending wasn't great, but there's something in the middle there between we caused them problems. But when Chelsea had the ball, you felt that there was something to break down for them. If Arsenal get that balance right, I'll have some confidence.
Yeah, I've seen us sit back a few times this season and it's gone wrong against worse teams than Spurs. So let's hope that doesn't happen. I'm going to come to Henry next, man. How do you see this one going, and what's your score prediction, mate?
Well, it's a completely different Tottenham since the last time we played you.
Yeah.
I mean, we couldn't even register shot on targets at some point under Nuno. Conte's got us playing. He's put his philosophy across. I can see this being Arsenal will first 15, 20 minutes sit tight, try and grow into the game, settle the nerves, try and quiet the crowd, try and frustrate us. And I can see Conte just getting through to players that this is a derby. And I think overall, regardless of how the outcome is, we just have to win. But I think I'm going to stick with my prediction I've said all week. I'm still going 3-1 Tottenham. I'm still going a brace for Son and a goal for Kane. And I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat saying Saka's a doubt. Don't worry, he'll start. Regardless of how injured he is, he'll play. We did the same thing with Harry Kane year after year. He's a doubt for the London derby, and then he plays. It's just mind games. It's going to be a really, really, really tough game. Like you said, both sets of fans going in confident, which is a rarity in an North London derby. But I just can't, with the performances that Arsenal have had in recent years at our ground, I just think we will do it. Now, whether that puts you down to 1 point between the two, both teams have got to win their last 2 games. So that makes for a very, very exciting end. But I'm sticking my team and I'm going 3-1 Tottenham.
Fair enough, Henry. I'm going to come in next, then go Tobes, then go Lee. I can see this being, I'm going to be with James, I can see this being a 1-1 draw. I think both teams are going to be nervy. It's going to be cagey. It's going to be horrible, if I'm honest with you. I think everybody knows it's going to be horrendously nerve-wracking. But I'm going to go 1-1. Tobes, I'm coming to you next because you've had chest out. You've said for weeks you're going to win this game. You're sticking to it. You've said already you think the score is going to be 2-1, which means I reckon you might make past the 44th minute this time, bro. So listen, my guy.
You've been waiting all stream to get that one out, yeah? Cool.
Man, I was waiting quietly.
Tomorrow after the game, when we meet in person, you're gonna get dunked on. So it's cool. It's cool.
So talk to me about why you're confident of this 2-1, man, and talk to me as in not because we have to, because it's my hope. It has to be your belief and why you think 2-1.
Yeah. Okay. So the reason why I think we're gonna win 2-1 is because we've got a really strong record at home against you, and there's so much on the line for us. And the third point, you've actually alluded to it. That embarrassing reverse fixture at the Emirates. We've got a score to settle, bro. Like the way we went out that day was embarrassing. 3-0 down in like 30, what was it, like 30, 34, 35 minutes? Something insane like that. I don't think that's ever been done in the North London derby. So that has left a bitter taste in my mouth. So I can only imagine it's left a bitter taste in the players' mouths as well. And if there's anyone that can get our players not only fired up for this game, but tactically set up well enough to beat you, it's Antonio Conte. So we got a new manager now in comparison to when we got a better manager than we did when we last played you. Our squad has improved. We've got players in good form, such as Kulusevski, such as Romero, such as Son Heung-min, even Harry Kane as well, fit and available for a North London derby, the most goals in a North London derby. And on top of that, you're coming into our ground with 60,000 fans. It's the first time you played us in our new ground where we've actually had basically a full house, because the tickets have been officially sold out, but we're not like Arsenal. We don't report on tickets sold. We report on actual tickets scanned on the day. But you're going to have as close to a full house as possible. So I think the occasion, the players, the manager will drive us over the line, and we'll get the job done.
Tobes, you know I love you, but of course I hope you're drastically wrong.
Okay,
But
we'll
fair
see.
play to you, man. Fair play to you. You've backed up why you think it. Judges, come on, man. What's going to happen tomorrow? What's your score prediction?
Well, like I always say that, and I say that even when Arsenal were the best team in the country, win at home, get a draw there. You know what I mean? I always said that, like, you know, and that's the position that we're in. I'll take a draw now. But I think because of those 4 points gap, I think that if it is a draw with 10 minutes to go, I think Spurs may just come and try and leave the door open, and we might nick it. So I'm gonna say Tottenham 1, Arsenal 2. But
I like it, man.
if it was a draw, I wouldn't be too unhappy coming out of White Hart Lane with a draw.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. I want one name from all of you before we close. James, to start with you. Who's getting the Champions League spot, Arsenal or Tottenham?
Go on, Arsenal.
Judges.
I'd say 4-point lead. Arsenal will seal the deal.
Henry.
That says it all, Henry. Thank you. Move on, Toby.
I'm going to back Tottenham.
hate
I
this
just think if
question.
we win that game, it's going to come down to can you get a result at Newcastle, and then we'll see. But I'm going to back Tottenham. But I've got a horrible feeling in the back of my mind.
Burnley are in trouble.
Why
now.
did you have to say the last part?
Yeah,
Because you got to back your team, but you've always got a feeling in the back
Don't
of
say
your head.
but. Just back your team and just keep it stepping. Yeah.
yeah.
Letting the side down, are we?
Yeah, you are.
Tobes, I guess it's a silly question.
Yeah, Spurs will get top 4.
Okay. I've got to back my team, so I'm going Arsenal. Do you know what, though? This is going to be great. It is going to be interesting. If you're a neutral, you're going to be loving this. If you're an Arsenal or Tottenham fan, you're going to be secretly hating it, but secretly loving it at the same time. I must admit, this is going to be a great one tonight. We don't know what's going to happen. The question is going to be answered tomorrow night. Is James going to be sitting there crying or smiling with Graham on AFTV Tactical Insight Show? Is Tobes going to be in or out of the mud on the Big Six show? Is Henry going to be sitting there with Lee Gunner in a couple of days' time for some therapy? And his lead judge is going to be screaming, he's done it again. We're going to have to see what's happening, guys. But I must admit, this is going to be a big game tomorrow night. We're going to be back to review it. We're going to be back to talk a little bit about it. And I'm sure we'll be meeting Tobes for good or bad reasons in the next couple of days. But thank you all for watching, guys. Please smash a like on this video. All of you in the house, we've got over 1,600 of you watching still. Absolutely amazing numbers. So thanks so much for that. Please hit a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And follow the guys. James, how can people follow you, please, mate?
Just I'm on AFTV basically. James AFTV and AFTV James. This is not the most creative set of social handles, but there I am.
How long did that take you, mate?
Honestly, once I saw AFC James was gone, I thought I'd just chuck AFTV in there.
Fair
there
play,
you go.
man.
That's where you find me.
Listen, always a pleasure talking to you, bro. And thanks for coming on, mate.
Cheers.
Always
Thanks for
welcome
having
on.
me, man.
Always, man. Always. Henry, how can people follow you, bro?
Just Henry Wright TV on all socials, apart from Instagram, Henry Wright 365. I'll be at the game tomorrow, so we'll probably bump into each other at some point and have a little discussion afterwards. But yeah, Henry Wright TV, all socials apart from Instagram, Henry Wright 365.
Top man, Henry. Thanks for coming on, bro. Much appreciated as well. Tobes, everyone knows, but just go for it, man. Socials.
Yeah, tapping Tobes on all socials, man. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Yeah. Follow, subscribe, share, like, all of that stuff. And yeah, see you tomorrow. Prepare to lose.
We will see you tomorrow, indeed, man. We will indeed. Guys, thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Up the Arsenal. Come on, you Gooners. Take care, guys.